All right, welcome back, folks. Today we're looking at Legion Wargames La Bataille de Hanau. This is part of the Viva l'Empereur series that they put out. Pratzen edition. It's kind of like, it's not as heavy as the other La Bataille series, and I've been wanting to get some Napoleonic stuff lately. I'm heavy into that whole time period, mostly, like 1806. 1825, let's go, somewhere in there. Kind of fascinating to me, just pretty much that whole series of battles, starting with his defeat in Russia. This one covers, after he got defeated in Russia, he had a lot of trouble. He had to recruit a whole new army and try to hold what he had in Germany together, as every one of his allies abandoned him and joined the other side, basically. And he had troops stuck in Poland and behind the lines, and he was trying to get to them and free them and hold what he had earned in Germany, and this did not work out. So Napoleon decided to pull out of Germany and head back toward France to defend the French borders one last time. And as he left and tried to exit, there was a blocking attempt made by the Bavarians, his former allies. I think the Bavarians had 40,000 men. They were under the command of von Vader, and I think Napoleon once remarked, I could make him a leader, or I could make him a king or something like that, but I couldn't make him a general. So Napoleon basically had the elite of his forces, the Imperial Guard, and he just made a straightforward attack. And this is that battle, and it took place 1813, October 30th. So this game is not as dense as the other ones in different series that I once tried and just could not get into. But it does have some cool things. First of all, I want to point out that the map is just gorgeous. I love this map style. There's not a lot on it. It's it's easy to read, and even Hanau has walls around it, and there's special terrain rules for that. The terrain features on here are sparse. You can tell exactly what everything is. You can see the roads, bridges. But it's like a hand-drawn masterpiece to me. This is a great map. It's not too busy, and I kind of like my maps like that when they're not overly complex and has contour lines and all that garbage on there. So this is pretty easy to see how the town was set up back then, raised plateau and things like that. Major bridge here, bridge down here. So this battle is kind of interesting to me because it's toward the end. Napoleon's forces just got whittled down, and they still couldn't defeat him in a one-on-one battle. So they went after his marshals and took out his flanks because they just weren't as good commanders. But they didn't want to take on the man himself. So this battle kind of led to that. So if we look at the counters here, the counters are pretty nice too. You have each counter represents a certain amount of men, of course, but I like the way that you can see the leaders here. The counters are a little bit big. They're more sideways, so you could see what's going on. You have skirmish counters, things like that. So I kind of like the way these counters are laid out. It gives you a feeling almost like you're playing like a miniatures game, which I refuse to do really because it would be so expensive in this genre. But if you form a square and things like that. The rule book is sort of thick, right? This is your standard and your advanced rules, so don't get too upset about the thickness of it. There's a lot in here, but it is covering two sets of rules, and there's a lot of text, right? There are some examples where there need to be, but it is a text-heavy. Let me move this up a little bit here. It is a text-heavy rule book. So melee is done by each enemy unit can be attacked once per melee phase, and attacking stat cannot be split to attack different hexes, and the melee value can be modified, and that takes into terrain and formation, and they give kind of an example here of how that works. Movement, of course, has limbered, unlimbered, column, not column. All the things that you would expect for this are kind of in this game. There's even zone of opportunity fire, things like that. No, this is not cooperating with me. I think I'm going to have to get another Panzer box behind here. Got a lot of Panzer stuff that I'm just now getting to. I plan to work on that a little bit later, but anyway. Terrain effects on movement. To cross a bridge, a good order unit must adopt the column formation. Of course, that's something you'd expect in a Napoleonic game. It has all your movement terrain effects. So it's heavy reading, but they do have examples for, front facing, where's the flank attack, things like that. So here's cavalry in column. Of course, the rear is going to be here, flanks in these hexes. So they do go into pretty good listing of how things work. Your leader counters have a combat bonus, morale bonus, and movement. Here's Devoe of 3rd Corps. You have initiative, the obedience level. At this point, Napoleon had lost a lot of his friends, especially in Russia, where the best of his army was buried under the soil there, and he lost a lot of friends coming back from Russia and during these initial engagements trying to keep Germany and open a quarter for his troops that were stranded in Poland, etc. So a rough time of it here, but he managed to do it, being the mastermind that he was. His eventual, of course, he would come and that would be the end of that. But here's your different symbols on the counters. Here's the unit type. You can see that this is an inline infantry type, the range, nationality, the fire value, corps division, the melee value, the steps. So you do have a step loss mechanic in this game. Morale, movement allowance, their range, things like that. So the counters have a lot of info crammed on there. But it's, it's all visible right on the counter, and they're all double-sided, and you have your orders here. So I think it's pretty cool. The game definitely looks good. Now I just need to try out the system. They have a lot of games in this system. They have the Spanish one, and they got a whole bunch of them. So if you are into this system, it's not like this is the only game. You have a way to expand and kind of go into other titles in the series. Some of the other titles in the series. This game does have special rules just for this title, but it's not ginormous. It's just like a little leaflet, right? So it's not like you're reading like a Next War series where you read the rule book and then you have a whole nother book to read just with special things. But there's some special rules in this pamphlet that comes with it. It's not too bad. But let's take a look at some of the other titles in the series here. Covers the Napoleonic era in Europe between 1805 and 1815, probably my favorite. It's Regiment. And this one here has Jena and 2 other battles in it. And then this one also has up here, this one's got 4 battles in it. So this is 4 battles, 1 box, 3, and then 1 battle series primer. So I grabbed this one first. And then you've got some huge ones in here. These are probably going to be stuffed to the gills with stuff. But the series is definitely large, so if you get into it, you definitely have a lot to look forward to. It comes with your typical tables, 1 for each player. Now, I don't know how the solo is going to be on this, but we'll see. Here's your how to read your units. I do like that they included this. Your terrain's nice and simple. You have the wall. There's a gate. You can see a little gate down there. Difficult, forest. More trees is forest. You have a bridge, slope. They kind of explain everything right there. Is this double-sided? No, it's not. And then you have the chart, 1 for each player right there. Melee, fire, the formation table, modifiers. This one is not double-sided either. These are your terrain effects. And then last but not least, there is a tracker in here for losses. There you go. And turn record track down here. So I think I'm going to try to learn this system. I don't usually do Civil War titles or things like that, but I do have Longstreet, but I have to kind of be in the mood for these games because it's a lot of block formations and, flanking and left turns and stuff like that and columns, so I have to kind of get used to it. But overall, I think this game looks promising. Kind of see how this plays out. But if you want to see a playthrough on one of these battles or maybe some examples of play, I could definitely do that. Otherwise, I'm hitting Panzer or MBT next. But I did want to make you guys aware of this series, and there's some other videos out there for it. But I needed something that was heavy, or not too heavy, to get into Napoleonics. And then there's some other titles. Of course, I always did play the OSG, or is it OSS? I can't remember. Operational Studies Group series of games, the ones with the cards. I do like those. That series is pretty neat. It's hard to solo that, though, because you do have card play involved, so it doesn't solo quite as well, but I do like that series. It can get expensive, though. All right, and again, this is from Legion Wargames, so check it out if you're into Napoleonics and see what you think. Thanks for watching.